This is Hannibal back from the HannibalTV.com. Going to do a quick review of Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast featuring Cody Rhodes. Very smart business move WWE did, aligning themselves with Logan Paul. He has one of the top podcasts on the internet, and I don't think there'd be any way that they would be having these WWE guys on there so often if they weren't having Logan Paul on the payroll. So they're extremely smart businessmen booking Logan Paul. I'll give them that for sure. During this podcast, it does seem like it's going to be probably Seth Rollins against Logan Paul, I think the bigger money match would have been Cena against Logan Paul, because those are two people and I'm talking about at WrestleMania, those are two people that mainstream knows. Maybe not older people know Logan Paul, but like he's very popular with young people, and everybody knows John Cena. He's transcended wrestling. But now it appears like they're going to go with Logan Paul against Seth Rollins, who I don't think non-wrestling fans know who Seth Rollins is. He hasn't transcended wrestling. And Cena, Logan Paul against Rollins, and Cena against Austin Theory, which, again, Austin Theory, your average person has never heard of. So, for whatever reason, they're doing that instead of the bigger match. Cody Rhodes was good on this podcast. It's funny. He talked about how great WWE Medical is, as I guess there was something going on with his ear or something. Like they're checking on it the moment he goes back through the curtain, and I'm just thinking to myself, for the wrestlers that get signed these days without ever having to do independence, they have no idea how spoiled they are for medical. The Canadian system in particular is really slow. You'll often have to wait like 12 to 14 hours to get seen if you need stitches or something. I mean, I don't know how many times after wrestling I've had to sit in the hospital all night, which sucks. So I could only imagine how great it would be to be somewhere where you have like a medical person to look at you right after, or in the States where people aren't covered. Some of the wrestlers aren't covered. You have to pay for it, and a lot of companies in the U.S. It's not, for some reason in Canada, at least in Ontario here. I've never been to put on an event where the venues don't require insurance, but I usually always ran arenas. But from my experience in the US, a lot of the times the companies don't even get insurance and don't pay for the wrestlers' medicals. So it's brutal. So it's cool that they have that. Cody put over Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon in this, and he also talked about Triple H, that he looked up to Triple H. I don't know. So he put over the right people. There was no talk of Stephanie McMahon. He talked about how he wrestled with Shane McMahon, and he really liked Shane McMahon's entrance music. They did talk that Cody was on the independent scene. Cody did mention that because he was a second generation star, like most second generation stars, he got an automatic WWE contract. And then during the time after he quit WWE, he wrestled on the independents. And I do commend him, because when he was on the independents, he actually got a buzz about him. And he did something during the time he wasn't in WWE. I really commend him for that. I mean, a lot of the guys now that Triple H is hiring back have been doing nothing at all in wrestling since they were fired from NXT or WWE. Then he hires them back. for whatever reason when they're not hot at all. Even Braun Strowman wasn't hot. I saw a couple of videos of him from independent shows that would be lucky if they had 200 people, and a video of him losing an arm wrestling match. So it's not like he was hot, but I'll give it to Cody. He was hot, but Jake or Logan Paul was like, wow, you did the independence. You must have really had the passion for it. I can tell you because we looked into booking Cody Rhodes. I wanted to actually wrestle Cody Rhodes. I should have tried harder. But by the time I had tried harder, it was too late. There was actually a date. We did it. We had a show planned on a Sunday specifically so I could wrestle Cody. And sadly, he got an air for me. Good for him that he got an Arrow booking, but it didn't end up coming to fruition because after there had been some talk with his agent, that happened. But I had actually been talking to his agent for a while. But there was a problem at first. I was the champion, and he had something in his dealings where he would not wrestle any champion because, according to his independent deals, he would not lose, or he would not have a count out or disqualification. He had to win. I mean, I'm sure he may have made some exceptions for friends, or with the Nick Aldis title change, which is probably a deal with the NWA. But yeah, I don't necessarily blame him for his independent deal, but I believe his pay was like $3,000. He had to win, and he wouldn't do draws or anything. So I had to end up losing my title, which I think I dropped it to PCO, and then I tried to get the match again, and then the last time after it failed, he started AEW. So yeah, looking back, that's one of my regrets of my career, that I did not push harder, try harder to get that match when he had all that buzz about him. He really wants to win the WWE title since his father never had it, which he's talked about before. At some point, the WWE title, they're trying to get more value of it now that they're putting it on Roman Reigns, who's a legitimate champion. In other years, they had it on guys like Kofi Kingston, who's talented, but he wasn't a legit champion. He was champion when they had the lowest drawing TV taping at Madison Square Garden of all time, and they even put in the Undertaker at the last minute to appear to boost attendance, but it was still the lowest drawing TV taping ever. And then they've had it on guys like Kevin Owens, who I'm not saying is not talented. He might not be my cup of tea, but I'm not saying he's not talented. But like, that guy should never have been WWE champion, even though it was a Universal champion. So yeah, hopefully they can bring back meaning to that title, because I don't really know if what would be the most meaningful title these days. I guess now that Roman Reigns has held that title for so long, he's bringing some prestige back to it. Hopefully they don't split it again. But yeah, I enjoyed the podcast. I like Logan Paul's podcast. Hey Tom, Jason, I had a really good workout today. Other than I accidentally locked my key in my locker and had to cut the lock off my locker, but my strength is going good, and I'm getting in decent shape. Working a lot, hung out with Piper, and I'm gonna do some DDPY before bed. Just a short 20-minute workout. But before that, I'm gonna post one more video. The Kevin Sullivan talking about Bret Hart, which I listened to in full earlier today. Very interesting. On you know what it reminds me of, though, kind of with Cody Rhodes. There's one similarity. I'll compare it to what they were talking about on the Kevin Sullivan Bret Hart thing, and maybe they can still fix this with Cody. because he's in better shape than Bret Hart was when Bret won the WWE title, when Bret won the WCW title. But when Bret came into WCW, he should have won the title, but he really did nothing. He was referees. They turned him heel. He was just floundering. Like, they did nothing with him. Then his brother died. He took time off. And then when he finally came back, he wasn't hot anymore and had lost a lot of steam. Then they made him champion and nobody cared. And he had a very the only thing memorable about his WCW career was it was crap. But yeah, for Cody Rhodes, he did not have the loudest pop of the Royal Rumble, according to reports. From what I understand, Brock Lesnar and Edge did, but he was up there. But that injury certainly did take a bit of steam off of him, because at first he was like coming fairly quick from AEW to WWE, and now some time has gone. So good luck. Let's hope if you win the title at WrestleMania, you can have a good run and it won't turn out like a Bret Hart. I don't know if I buy the Goldberg ended his career. Who knows? I'm no doctor, but he had a lot of concussions probably throughout his career. And he did actually wrestle after that Goldberg one. I will say for a fact his career was not ended by that concussion. Maybe he didn't wrestle as much anymore, but he did wrestle Vince McMahon. And he did go on to be WWE commissioner and work for WWE. So he still made money for years after. His in-ring career may have been over, but he wasn't doing anything memorable at that time anyways. And yeah, it was probably a combination of all the concussions he's had over time, because you get a lot of concussions as a wrestler. I can attest to that. And I hope that I can get treatment for some of the concussion builds up I've had over the years, because I worked a very realistic style. And also, I've been attacked a lot working in security all the years I did security. So I'm actually looking into some of the concussion therapies to help to fix some of the damage I've incurred over the years. So I wish everyone a good night. And yeah, if this isn't for everyone, but as I said, I'm a fan of that podcast to an extent, not a super fan, but I follow it anyways. So I didn't mind this episode. Have a good night.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button